Hey, so the beta is now live on itch.io. Yay. Um, it should be available on pretty much most platforms. You shouldn't have an issue downloading it, but there are install instructions if you do. Besides that, I added a new UI, so nice level selector, a lot of new levels, and continue just to start the game. Yeah, I'll start off with the new levels. This level is in the surface of a rounded hypercube. So if you take a 40 cube, round the edges, and put something in the surface of it, this is kind of what it would look like, with of course a floor at y equals 0, so you have something to stand on. In this one, you can see what it looks like if you don't round the edges of the hypercube. You end up with these weird borders, kind of, where the corners of the hypercube or edges of the hypercube are, and it's really difficult to get through them, both in the physics constraint and the rendering. In the next two, I started off with a rounded hypercube and then cut a hole through the center by subtracting an extruded 3D shape. So in this one, I took a sphere, extruded it into the fourth dimension, and then subtracted that from the center, rounding the edges of the hole, of course. And in the next one, I took a rounded cube, extruded that into the fourth dimension, and then cut that from the center, again rounding the hole. In this one, it's the same kind of rounded hypercube, except it has another rounded hypercube indent into one of its faces, which you can see in this shape. So this level and all of the rest of the levels are a hyperplane with various shapes cut into them, with the border of the cut being rounded. So you don't end up with the same problem I had with the unrounded hypercube at the beginning of the video. So for the first kind of wormhole, I want to show the difference between itself and itself sticking out of a hyperplane, and then itself cut in half by a hyperplane. This is it sticking out of a hyperplane. You can kind of see how you can go through where the wormhole is, but on one side it's just a hole, and on the other side it is actually like the wormhole. And one funny thing I like about it is you end up with 6 walls that are all at right angles with each other because of how the geometry works out. Here you have the wormhole geometry cut in half through the wormholes, and you can kind of see how the wormholes aren't fully formed and how you can kind of travel over the side that was cut in half and like skip past the wormhole, which is interesting, I think. Here is the same kind of thing for the second kind of wormhole. Because the second kind of wormhole works by starting in a hyperplane and just jumping over a little bit of space through a spheritorus. Um, it doesn't really show that well. It doesn't really work that well being cut in half, but it still looks kind of cool. That's it. Thanks for watching. On the itch.io page, I had a list of potential to-dos. If any of them interest you, feel free to leave a comment. Yeah, thanks.